Max, where should McGregor go from here?
I agree with him. He should go down to 155 pounds. First of all, it was a great fight. But McGregor showed maturity as a fighter by outlasting Diaz. I mean, it looked like, is this guy going to go the distance, or do we have a replay of the first fight where McGregor's doing well and then runs out of gas against a bigger, sturdier guy who can just take his shots, unlike the 155-pounders? But it turns out, no, McGregor paced himself. Look, a lot of people scored that fight a draw, and that one judge who gave the 10-8 round to Diaz, I understand that. And people are confused by that who watch boxing go, yeah, but McGregor knocked Diaz down. That wasn't a 10-8 round. In the UFC, because you can follow up an advantage when you knock a guy off his feet, knocking him off his feet doesn't automatically award you an extra point. But getting your breaks beat off, as McGregor did in the third round, may get the other guy an extra point. I thought maybe you could have argued that way. At any rate, going into the fifth round, it's like, first McGregor pulls out the fourth round when it looked like he didn't have a shot to do it. That was huge and probably sealed the deal on the scorecards if he could survive the fifth. Then he survives the fifth against the bigger, stronger guy. At this point, he's saying, look, I saved UFC 196, Stephen A. When my opponent falls out and I jump in, I'm like, it's okay, get a bigger guy, it's fine. Fight him and lose, take the immediate rematch, make another big event, fight him, and this time outlast him and win. But the McGregor brand is not about being smart and outlasting the other guy. It's about fighting in a dynamic way, winning decisively. And what he's saying, and I believe with reason, is, look, I can beat a good, bigger fighter. I'm the good little man who can beat the good big man, but that's not really what I do. Put me back in with a guy my own size. Come on, Diaz, come back down to 155. I went up to 170, and then I'll show you what I can really do. It won't be about me just kind of outlasting the guy and outsmarting him and holding on. It'll be about me getting back to the Conor McGregor who was dominating.
Well, if you're talking fights, yeah, you're right. If I'm McGregor, I don't go back up to 170. He did the right thing. He lost at 170, came back and won at 170. And if Diaz wants a trilogy, which he demanded after the fight, then it's only apropos that he fights McGregor at McGregor's desired weight of 155, because he's earned the right to request that. But if you're talking dollars and cents, it's wherever the money is. The weight, he can't dictate the weight. The money has to dictate the weight. And that's what I would say. I will tell you this. McGregor was so impressive to me in terms of there were times where I thought that he could have gotten had. He started off strong, dropped Diaz 3 times in the first 2 rounds, but were wise enough not to go in for the kill because that ground attack would have worked to Diaz's advantage. McGregor knew that, so he stayed upright, which is a smart thing on his place, on his part, showed a level of maturity that you want to see from potentially great fighters like that. The fact that he was willing and capable to make that adjustment from the first fight is a big, big deal. But then I also look at McGregor from this perspective. At 170, look what he's doing. Now, unless this is boxing and somehow losing that weight is going to drain the living hell out of you, I'm looking at him and saying to myself, who's going to beat him at 145? Because, I mean, to go up to 170 and to put those licks on Diaz that he put on him. I mean, you got to remember, everybody's talking about he should fight Aldo because he's going to go back to the 145-pound division and defend his crown. He knocked the dude out in 13 seconds. Now, it wasn't a lucky shot.
Going backwards. Knocked him out going backwards.
When they want to act like, now, they want to act like it was lucky. It wasn't lucky, but at the same time, what's the chances of that happening for you again, where a perfect shot gets landed in the first 13 seconds? Probably not. But I'm not going to pick a smaller opponent to get into the ring against this guy, Conor McGregor, with this arsenal, who has shown that he can utilize it against bigger and stronger opponents and still find a way to win. I think those smaller guys have a chance. I don't see that.
You bring up the money, and the money will dictate where the fight takes place. In the first fight, McGregor did something that not a lot of fighters would do, which he's the money guy. He doesn't need to save the show and fight a bigger guy, but he's like, to hell with it. I'm a risk taker. And it backfired, in the sense that he lost. Then he takes the rematch at the other guy's preferred weight because he lost the first fight. He's the one getting the rematch. Now that he's won the rematch and he's already taken the risk initially.
Twice.
I think he's within his rights to say, okay, we can do a rubber match, but this time at my preferred weight, where I can show you what I'm really going to do, and the money will follow him because he's the money man in UFC.
Got it.
No, I think that makes sense. So McGregor becomes only the second fighter to win at both 145 and 170, joining my boy Kenny Florian with that feat. Stephen A., do you have a problem with Coach K leading Team USA for the last 12 years, over a decade?
I always have. Yes, I do, to answer that question directly. And I want to make sure that I emphasize and preface my comments by saying I'm not trying to cast any aspersions on Coach K whatsoever. I speak of him with deference and reverence. He's a 5-time national champion. He has so many wins. He is a winner extraordinaire, an exceptional coach, and we should be honored that he was our coach for Team USA. But I'm a harken back to a column that was written in 2014 by one of our contemporaries in this business, the one and only Adrian Wojnarowski for Yahoo. He does an outstanding job, obviously, covering the NBA. I respect the hell out of him. And he wrote the column a couple of years back when he talked about, the advantages that Coach K has. He basically called Team USA, it's like a Duke infomercial, for crying out loud. He's right. Coach K vehemently and adamantly denied that. Very abrasive in his response to those comments at the time. So be it. Adrian Wojnarowski was right. He was right then, he's right now, and I'm right. The fact of the matter is Coach K should never have been allowed to coach 3 Olympic teams. It should have been 1. There should be a different coach every 4 years. And if it's going to be a college coach, let them all be college coaches. Even though Greg Popovich, and we all know he's qualified and worthy and deserves it, the fact of the matter is there's college coaches out there that deserve the same advantage that Mike Krzyzewski has had since 2008. And even though he's highly intelligent, incredibly accomplished, and deserves all of our respect and reverence, the fact of the matter is the great Mike Krzyzewski, I don't even know the word to use. I'm going to use disingenuous. To sit there and imply that it gives him no advantage whatsoever is utterly ridiculous. You have aspiring NBA players that are going to come into college to play college basketball. Mike Krzyzewski, who is coaching LeBron and Melo and, now this year Kevin Durant and Klay Thompson and Kyrie Irving and all of these guys. Yes, he recruited. Yes, he won before any of them had ever arrived. Yes, he deserved to be the coach. That's not the point. The point is, Olympic after Olympic after Olympic, if you are the same coach and you have that kind of fixture, it gives you an unfair advantage. Now, that doesn't mean it's going to always be exercised, because he certainly hasn't out-recruited John Calipari, okay? But by and large, it's going to give you an advantage. And in the collegiate ranks, it's incredibly unfair. There is no college coach on the planet that should be coaching back-to-back-to-back Olympic teams with the best NBA players in the world. If you're coaching it, it should be a different one each Olympics. I'm not talking about Mike Krzyzewski. I'm talking about anybody that is in his position that should have never been allowed. It is wrong, and they need to stop doing that because it gives a coach an advantage on a collegiate level.
Well, Stephen A., you're wrong, and I hate to say it, but the great, and I mean great, Adrian Wojnarowski is wrong. Look, mainly because, not that it doesn't have an advantage in terms of recruiting. Of course it gives him an advantage. Of course he's not telling the truth when he says it. Of course it gives him an advantage.
But then you already made my point.
I just don't care. Who cares about whether
Doesn't make me wrong.
Who cares about whether Duke has a recruiting advantage? The important thing is that Team USA win the gold. Now, when was the last time that Mike Krzyzewski wasn't the coach of Team USA? 2004. Did we win a gold medal? No, we didn't. He took over in 05, then 08 was the redeemed team. We won again in 12, we won again in 16. As long as Team USA is winning gold medals, I don't care if it means no other college coach has a shot at recruiting another player, which isn't the case. But even if it was, who cares if it gives them an advantage? Look, he got the coaching opportunity in the first place because of his excellence. That's what put him in the position in the first place. Now, after the fact that he gets to coach Team USA and they have such success that he continues to coach, and that gives him an advantage recruiting, those are compounding advantages. Of course, we can recognize it, but it's not as though he has that advantage just because someone handed it to him. His excellence with the Duke program led to the opportunity. I'm not then going to begrudge him the compounding advantage that is the infomercial for Duke, in a sense, that is the Olympics, because we're winning. You really care that much if Duke has an advantage recruiting, if Team USA is winning gold medals?
Max Kellerman, everything you just spewed with your soliloquy augmented and validated my point. It didn't dismiss it. The fact of the matter is that the question wasn't whether or not we should care. The question was, is it wrong? And I'm saying to you, what's wrong about it were all the reasons that you articulated. The fact that it gives him an advantage as a collegiate coach. See, if you're an NBA coach, Max, here's the deal. You're getting drafted as a player into the league. You can't help where you go. There's no such thing as recruiting on the NBA level in terms of who you get out of college. But as a college coach, when you go into a kid's home and you're appealing to the All-Americans out there that are obligated to come and play 1 year of college basketball for you or what have you, it gives you one season. It gives you an incredible advantage.
Yeah, but actually, the question wasn't that.
But I'm not saying that Mike Krzyzewski didn't deserve it. I'm saying once you come there and you win it, to stay there is the problem. Of course I have no problem with Coach K coaching him in 2008. What the hell did you need him in 2012 and 2064? That's not right, Max.
Don't fix it. Now the question is,
well, then why get new players in 2012?
The question, some of the other players don't want to play. Look, the question was
some of them didn't make it.
Is it fair or not? The question is, do you have a problem with it? And if the answer is yes, then it's an issue of your own priorities. You, in your list of priorities, have fairness of college recruiting ahead of America winning Olympic gold medal. I do not. We both have NBA championship first.
Do you think,
but after that, I care much more about the gold medal than who has an advantage.
Do you think Greg Popovich would have won with this team?
Yes.
Do you think Tyronn Lue would have won with this team?
I think so, based on what I just saw.
Do you think Steve Kerr would have won with this team?
I do.
Okay? So what I'm trying to say to you is that there's a bevy of coaches that you could go out there to coach the team because players are the ones that have to go out there and win.
Would you have thought that Larry Brown would have won with that team?
Actually,
because once upon a time, the answer was yes, but he didn't.
Time out. Actually, if you look at the way the roster was constructed, and if you cover Larry Brown like I do, it's definitely plausible that they would have lost. A very bad example. Yeah. But the point that I'm trying to make to you is that
we don't know if they win or not. We think so, but we know Krzyzewski's winning.
Once Krzyzewski won, and you got the gold medal and reclaimed glory for Team USA, be fair. You're giving him an unfair advantage.
Who cares?
That's not right.
You care more.
That's not right.
You care more about the coach having an advantage for a national championship than you do about Team USA. Okay, I feel otherwise.
Tom Thibodeau was on his coaching staff. Yeah. Jim Boeheim. Boeheim couldn't have coached this team?
I guess.
I think so.
But you know what? You can't prove that one way or another. I could tell you Krzyzewski got 3 gold medals.
Yeah. And I'm saying that he didn't deserve the opportunity to get him because, in the interest of fairness, one collegiate coach should not have that advantage. That's all I'm saying.
Between you and me, I tell it like it is. You tell it how it might be.
I'm with Stephen A. on that.
Really?
Coming up next.